Hi, and welcome to our Webex One Slido session. If you're joining the session live today on the Webex Events app, you can join the conversation and network with fellow attendees using the chat tab on the right. You can also participate in our session polls and ask and upvote questions using the Slido Q&A and polling tab, also on the right. And at the end of the session, we'll run a survey. We'd love to hear your feedback, and it's a chance to earn some of those level up game points. All right, let's talk about transforming your meeting culture using Slido. I'm Jamie, a customer success manager at Slido. This is something we talk about all the time with our customers, and I'm really excited to share more with you today. We'll talk about the challenges that leaders are facing currently, what it means to have a culture based on trust and the importance around it, and of course, more about Slido, how it fits in, and a lovely customer story from one of our users. So let's talk about the challenges that leaders are currently facing. You've probably heard about the Great Resignation, and a survey by Gartner revealed that only 29%, or less than a third, of global IT workers have a high intent to remain in their current roles. We've also been hearing about this new phrase or buzzword, quiet quitting. And this is quitting the idea of going above and beyond of what you're getting paid for. The reasons? We're seeing burnout, stress, lack of engagement, and lack of job satisfaction. We're also seeing a big challenge of properly engaging your employees. A majority of employees are feeling emotionally detached at work, and almost 20%, or about 1 in 5 employees, are feeling miserable at work. Obviously, these are very devastating statistics. And of course, the challenge of them all, the hybrid and remote world. A majority of leaders are saying that relationship building is one of the greatest challenges they're facing in this hybrid and remote setup. And that 55% of managers and employees are saying that they trust people more in a physical environment than a virtual one. Obviously, we know the way the world is going. Hybrid and remote work are here to stay. So these are some challenges we need to tackle from behind the screen. So what needs to happen? Well, let's start by talking about what it means to have a culture based on trust and the importance around it. The Harvard Business Review did a study around the neuroscience behind trust, and their experiments showed that having a higher sense of purpose and trust actually helps stimulate oxytocin production, thus producing happiness. We know about the importance of trust in the workplace, and a reporting on people in high-trust companies showed that they have higher productivity, way more energy at work, more engagement, and even more satisfaction in their personal lives. In turn, we're also seeing less stress, less burnout, and fewer reported sick days. We know that leaders understand the issue, at least the principle. And 55% of CEOs think that lack of trust is a huge threat to their organization. However, most of them have done little or nothing to increase trust or work on it, mainly because they don't know where to start. So we think that communication is a great place to start. We know that communication is key. This is basically a golden rule. So why wouldn't it carry over into the workplace? The average professional is spending about 20 to 30 hours a week in meetings. This gives a ton of power to our meetings, and this is where most of our communication in our week takes place. Meetings are a place where information is shared, but also where innovation happens and where employees feel heard, and most of all, where trust is created. So we know the importance of trust, and we know how much power our meetings have. So let's talk about some real examples of how meetings can help build trust. For example, employees can receive information and gain a deeper understanding of their business strategies, thus creating that higher purpose for the work they're doing. And if we think a few slides back, we know that that higher sense of purpose can lead to the stimulation of oxytocin, or producing happiness. We also know that this is a place for colleagues and leaders to get to know and understand each other better. And this is creating that sense of community and trustworthiness. Meetings are also giving employees a chance to have their voices heard, to ask their questions, to contribute their ideas, and to pose their challenges. And this is creating that space for dialogue and to be able to produce strategies to overcome those challenges. Meetings are also a place for employees to be recognized for their excellence and for their achievements. And this is creating that sense of belonging and that sense of feeling valued. And of course, we always want to feel valued. Let's talk about Slido, where it fits in and how it can help. Starting with Slido's mission, which is to help people get the most out of joining a meeting or event by enabling that true dialogue between the speaker and the audience, or opening up that two-way conversation. Taking a look at Slido's features, we've got live polls and surveys, audience Q&A, quizzes, and in-depth analytics to capture everything from your meetings and events. So let's look at some real examples. We talked about the importance of trust, and we looked at Slido's features. So let's see some examples of how you can really put it to work and start to build that trust during your meetings. For example, using an open text poll, giving space to hear everyone's opinions and concerns. For example, asking about potential risks on a project, letting everyone contribute and feel included in the bigger picture. You can also switch it up a little bit, have some fun, and present your business numbers in an engaging way with a live quiz. This can make things a little bit more fun and competitive, keep people focused, and there's nothing wrong with seeing your name on the leaderboard in front of the entire organization. Or you can try making inclusive decisions with your team by using a ranking or a multiple choice poll. We use this in our team all the time. For example, we'll go on and on, debating something, sharing multiple points of view, and when it comes down to it, we need to make a decision and move on. So we'll launch a quick poll, have a decision, and move on from there. It's pretty amazing. And of course, an ideation session, being able to capture those great ideas for your team, letting everyone contribute. With Audience Q&A, you can run a leadership AMA session, or Ask Me Anything. This is giving your employees the ability to ask questions directly to your leadership. You can even open it a week or a couple days in advance, being able to collect those questions and have your colleagues go through and upvote the questions that resonate the most with them. During the live session, employees really feel like their questions are being answered and their thoughts are being heard. This can help create some more connection between leadership and your employees from being able to hear directly from them. And it'll help your employees feel more trust and honesty from your leadership. And last but certainly not least, celebrating your silent heroes. Launching a word cloud poll to collect the silent heroes from the past month. This allows your employees to think about the people around them who've helped them the most over the last month, and it can really help people feel valued. We've heard about trust. We've heard about Slido's features and how they can help build that trust, enable that communication. And we're going to hear an awesome story from one of our lovely users, Arlen Love. He's a Senior Customer Experience Manager at T-Mobile. He's been using Slido really well, and his story really inspired me, and I hope it does for you too.
The challenge that T-Mobile was facing was that we had a lot of subject matter experts in tons of different departments that we needed to bring into the same place so that our audience could get live, correct feedback. But it was hard to schedule and make sure that we had a protected time where everyone could make it. We decided that Slido was the solution for this. We were able to get all of our subject matter experts to be able to participate and answer live, getting us the right information to our audience, and they didn't necessarily have to be on the call. On the back end, they were able to have Slido open, filter to their expertise, and give us the answers that we needed right away. I don't only use Slido for the middle of the meeting when there's questions and answers, but I also use it for icebreakers and at the end to collect feedback. My trainer background realizes that it's very important to make sure that everybody is heard and has a voice within the call, and a proper introduction to a call that's interactive with polls or questions. That can really help make everybody feel like it's okay to talk and that their voice is heard. And at the end, we're able to give a call survey and get the feedback directly from everybody of what did they like about the meeting? What would they like to hear next time? How can we make it better for you each time? I'm a big believer that in 5 years, meetings are going to look a lot different than they do today. I think it's because there's so much innovation happening right now. Slido is a really great example of a new tool that I was able to incorporate to make our meetings better, more inclusive, and more organized.
Thank you, Arlen, so much for sharing your story with us. It's amazing to hear how innovative you've been with Slido and how much it's been able to help you and your team, especially during a challenging time. Hopefully, you feel inspired by hearing Arlen's story, and you can start to see some of the ways that he was using Slido during his sessions. Looking at Slido's benefits, we know that at the surface, Slido is an interaction and engagement tool, and that's why a lot of our customers seek us in the first place. But what we also know is that as you start to use Slido consistently and well, there's a lot of additional value beneath the surface. For example, your employees can start to feel more empowered by having a voice, having a place where they can ask their questions and give their input. They'll also start to feel more included, especially when you have people in person, behind the screen. Maybe you have someone really shy, really outgoing. It gives everyone that equal voice. And then we get down to that transparency and trust. And this is where your culture, your meetings, and your events really start to transform. And if you didn't already know, Slido is fully integrated into Webex. You can use all these great tools directly in Webex. This is a benefit to both the host and the participant. It's an amazingly seamless experience for everyone to participate. Slido is a part of the wider Webex Suite. It powers the polling and Q&A workflows. You can also use Slido outside of Webex. Maybe you have people joining in person in the room, I know, a novel idea, or asynchronously. There's multiple ways for your participants to join. For example, you can share an event code that your participants can plug into the browser. Or you can provide a QR code which they can scan with their phones. And lastly, you can share a clickable link, which you could add to an email or a calendar invite. If you want to learn more about Slido and Webex, you can go to slido.com/Webex. There's a great tutorial video on the front page and a bunch of additional information you can get into. Thank you so much for joining our session today. I hope you found it valuable and you feel inspired to use Slido in your next meeting. Happy Slidoing! By the way, there's a survey launched for the end of the session. We'd really appreciate your feedback, and it's another chance to earn some of those level up game points. Thank you so much.